A Nightmare on Elm Street was created by Wes Craven and directed by Wes Craven and stars the likes of Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund, and Johnny Depp, and tells the story of a man named Frederick Krueger who goes into people's dreams and mentally tortures them until he decides to kill them. And if you die in your dream, you die in reality. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it's one of the most interesting concepts to a horror movie of all time, and I think Freddy Krueger is the best slasher figure of all time. And so I'm very excited as this year's Halloween special to be talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street. But was the movie any good? Let's find out in this review. Happy Halloween, everybody. My name is Carson Kreitner, also known as Typical Moviegoer, and today we're talking about the 1984 horror movie, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wes Craven really created a special movie with this one. It's got kills, it's got story, and it's got an iconic villain. A Nightmare on Elm Street is potentially the prime of movies you think of when you think old 80s slasher movies. That's what you think immediately when somebody asks me about slashers. That's the one I go to, even if it's not my favorite. That's the one I go to. But I absolutely love A Nightmare on Elm Street, from its story, again, its villain, all of it. It is just so well done, and it really encapsulates what a slasher movie should be. But with those basic thoughts out of the way, let's dive deeper into this. Let's start off with positives. Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. Oh my God. This man was a genius. He knew exactly what type of character to play for this movie. He is so terrifying. And I'm not even talking about the costume and the makeup and the prosthetics that he wears to bring Freddy Krueger to life. No, the actions that the actor does to bring this character to life. It's so specific to this character, and it works so well for this character that it terrifies me to my living core. I remember watching this movie for the first time, and I couldn't finish the movie. That's how terrifying it was. I mean, from the simple running up the alleyway after Tina, or this simple tongue movement. I mean, it is creepy. And then you add on the finger knife glove. Then you add the burn scar makeups and the fedora and the iconic red and green sweater. It all makes for a very, very interesting horror movie character. And I'm very happy that Robert Englund, he took this in a direction that, I mean, it pleased a lot of people. And I'm so happy that he continued with the franchise as long as he did, even leading up to Freddy vs. Jason, which is incredible. And he did incredible work here specifically. This is definitely his best performance. And moving on to more acting, Heather Langenkamp as Nancy Thompson. I mean, what is there to say? Out of every single Scream Queen, with the exception of Sidney Prescott, I think that Heather Langenkamp does the best job here. She actually is a competent actress to start off, which is already a positive. Because, you have some people who in the beginning really aren't. You have Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween, which that was a little special. And most of the actors in Halloween were not great, with the exception of the late Donald Pleasance. May he rest in peace. But Heather Langenkamp does so well here. And you really do feel that she is this terrified person tormented by Freddy's doings. And she just wants to escape. And then when she makes the choice at the end of the movie to be like, you know what? This doesn't have to happen. You're nothing. I do not have to be afraid of you. You feel that choice. You feel the weight of her losing her mother, and you're just like, you know what? You're nothing. Like, that's all you are. You can't hurt anybody. It is so real feeling that I pee my pants of excitement every time I watch this movie. And she just does so well here, and she should be very proud of this performance. I mean, the ensemble cast, characters who play Glenn and Tina, specifically Johnny Depp as Glenn, very young Johnny Depp, mind you. This is probably, I think, the film that got him to start. Very nice to see him. But the side characters make this movie a whole different. As far as slasher side characters go, they're actually not bad. Like, you have all the the weird characters in Halloween and Friday the 13th that are just set up there to be kills. And in a way, obviously, because it's a slasher movie, these characters are set up to be kills. But they actually give them some sort of character development. You do feel a little bit for these characters. They're not just meat like most slasher movies treat them. Which I'm very happy about because it makes this movie a whole lot more interesting. It's kind of like Scream in that sense where, you know, you have Sidney Prescott as the lead, but then you have Gale Weathers and you have Dewey, where they're side characters, but you give them emotions and you give them things to care about. And so, I mean, as far as performances, it's all pretty good. Even the mother and the father, like, they're really, really nice here. But moving on just to the simple prosthetics, I know I kind of already mentioned this, but what they do with Freddy is terrifying. The burn scars, the finger gloves, it's all terrifying. There's nothing I would have changed about that design. It is genius. Another positive is the actual story itself and the writing. Yes, it has its stereotypical slasher 80s things about it. But overall, it is a genius script. And for what it is, it's very basic. Like, the fact that somebody can just come into your dreams, kill you, and then kill you in reality at the same time is a genius concept. And I'm surprised nobody came up with it before Wes Craven, unless they did, and they just never made a movie about it. But it was a genius story to tell, and again, a terrifying one at that. And Wes Craven did a great job with that, bringing that story to life. Another amazing thing is the actual effects they use in the movie, the cinematography, the set. It all is really nice. At the end, I will admit, at the end of this movie, every time I watch it, I always feel like it's Home Alone meets a horror movie, just because of all the traps that she's setting up for Freddy, and then and then you have Freddy going through all the traps. It's like Harry and Marv. Actually, that would be a very interesting concept to see them go head to head. Kevin McAllister versus Freddy Krueger. Let's see how that goes. And yeah, again, you have your common 80s things that you can nitpick to death. Like, in the end, you have the mom flying through the window, and it obviously looks fake. And then, I guess, if we're going to get into gripes, my only real complaint is actually the ending. I think that it's a pretty bogus ending to just end with. Because, again, they could have extended it much longer than they needed to. And I think they needed to have more of a defined ending than what they gave us. Like, they gave us an ending. It just wasn't, it didn't work for me. And it's part of the reason why I can't ever say it's actually my favorite slash movie, is purely just because of the ending. And that's why I prefer Halloween. That's why I prefer Scream. Just because I just can't get with it. I just don't understand why they chose that as the ending when you have a amazing movie up until that last few seconds where it's like you just got lazy and just tacked on an ending. I'm like, just say Freddy's gone. Just say that Nancy lost all these people. Call it a day. You do not have to have this overly happy ending, especially when the mom dies like 2 seconds after. You don't have to have that happen. And so that's my really only gripe with this movie. But with that being said, again, overall, my experience with A Nightmare on Elm Street is a positive one. I love A Nightmare on Elm Street so much. Again, its biggest things are the makeup, the story, for the most part, cinematography, and God, the acting is so good. And I cannot wait to watch A Nightmare on Elm Street again. And I hope that you guys check it out as well, because it is a very, very good movie. But with that being said, guys, that was A Nightmare on Elm Street. My name is Typical Moviegoer, saying Happy Halloween to everybody. And this is me also saying, peace out.